An eerie world of imagination comes to life before our eyes as we go behind the scenes to discover the magic and mysteries of the stop-motion animation classic, Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. To create the film's mind-boggling imagery and outrageous characters, a team of over 100 artists and technicians spent 3 years of painstaking frame-by-frame animation as they pushed the limits of this cinematic art form.
Well, I grew up liking those stories like, every Christmas you'd watch things like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer or like The Grinch That Stole Christmas. Those were my favorite like holiday specials when I was growing up. So when I was working at Disney, I designed something that's sort of like the reverse of that. It's like the Grinch in reverse, so to speak, about this character who finds Christmas and loves it and decides to try to do it himself.
Tim very much developed the story, the concept is his, the main characters, the tone, the look.
When Tim Burton went back to Disney a couple of years ago and said, "You have a project of mine that I'm still interested in doing." And they dug out not only his treatment, they dug out a lot of his artwork. If you look on the walls, you'll find as much of Tim's original artwork as you will the stuff that we've now done in terms of designing sets. So it's his artwork from that long ago is really the kickoff point for the design of the movie.
Tim Burton and director Henry Selick assembled 13 of the most brilliant animators, along with over 100 specially trained camera operators, puppet makers, set builders, and prop makers. Over a 3-year period, they filled 19 sound stages with Nightmare's 230 sets and hundreds of individual puppet characters.
So we had to create a company to do this. We moved into this building, I think, in July of '91, and we had to be in production by October 1st.
In the first place, I was chosen for the job because I'm from the same planet, if not the same neighborhood as Tim.
He's somebody that's just got a lot of talent and passion, and he knows a lot of people. There's a very small group of people that do this kind of work and do it well. I really feel very lucky that we've got a group of people that are very good at this.
Tim Burton's visually stunning images are accompanied by the music of composer and lyricist Danny Elfman.
Basically, we didn't really have a script, and there was the storyline that Tim had from years earlier.
We didn't start out going, it should be this or that. It sort of grew from the images and the story and took on a life of its own.
We were running out of time. I just said, well, I'll just start writing some of the songs based on what we talked about. And I started, and he'd come over and he'd listen to it. And then I'd say, let's just talk about the next section of the movie. And we'd talk about it and tell me, oh, and he does this and that. And I said, great, great. And as soon as he left, I'd immediately go and start writing that next song that got us through the next period. And 3 days later, I'd call him back and he'd come and listen. Oh, great. And now describe the next couple of scenes. He had pictures of all these characters, and if he didn't, he'd pull out a scrap of paper and draw it for me. So I had some really good visual stimulus to get going. I would say the difference between 3 years worth of work on something like this and 6 or 8 weeks on a score, you can't really compare.
We've worked together at least my whole career, in movies and all, and it's just been the greatest collaboration I've been involved with. He's a great songwriter as well as a composer.
So there already was Tim and Danny and songs, and because those were very much finalized at an early stage, those were the first things that we went into production on.
My team and I work with Henry, the director, doing these storyboards here that visualize and plan what the film's going to be. We do the first visual attack on the film.
We storyboard it very specifically. We cut those storyboards, which are drawings of every scene, sometimes many drawings for a specific scene, in continuity, with music, with voice, with sound. So we've pre-made the movie, at least sequence by sequence, before we ever actually go in and animate it.
We're shooting it 24 frames a second, which means that we have to pose the character 24 times for each second of actual completed film.
Working with storyboards, changes and refinements to the story and action can be made before the complicated and time-consuming process of animation is begun.
Storyboard provides the basis for everything. The timing, the action, the gesturing, the whole attitude to each scene and each sequence. I'm the art director, and what that involves is creating the environments based on the storyboard, based on Henry's requests, based on what Tim's drawings look like, etc., trying to stay consistent with that look.
The art direction is very much along the lines of what Tim Burton has done in other films, especially his first short film, Vincent, German expressionist combined with Dr. Seuss.
Halloween is very dark. Everything is lots of silhouettes and almost like a black and white movie, really trying to get that style. You go to Christmas Land, everything's bright, vivid color, lots of fast camera moves, trying to get real fun.
The real world is very sort of simple. Everything's isometric angles, very regular. All the houses are variations on the same theme. The colors are more pastel.
Start doing a lot of sketches, try and get a lot of choices together for Henry, and then Henry comes in and makes his buy. Literally, we just pin up 5 or 6 of everything. He has a feeling about what he personally thinks works the best. We combine them, get it down to a couple of alternatives, and then all focus on that.
It should be like opening a book, like a pop-up book, or finding an illustration in a storybook that feels like you could fall right into it.
Even given that, we're trying to then twist that by putting in weird perspectives, different objects playing against each other in different ways.
The art directors wanted to give the sets and characters a look that was reminiscent of the pen and ink illustrations of artists like Ronald Searle or Edward Gorey, with their elaborate textures and cross-hatching.
We took sets and actually spread clay on them or plaster and then inscribed lines all over them to give it that sort of etched textural feel, so to make it look almost like a living illustration.
Textures, also color. Tim was very specific about it. He said your palette for this town is black, white and orange, and we generate the necessary tools for the set people to maintain that look. From there we do either a scale drawing, like a quarter scale drawing of the thing, but that then goes straight to set design. Greg Olson will make a scale model based on our drawing, start to work out the camera angles, how much set is needed.
Once the conceptual art is done, we have to somehow realize it in 3 dimensions: height, width, depth. This is known as a quarter scale mock-up. It is a model of the actual set that we're going to build. Obviously we can't build it full scale at this point. We need something to start with. If this was an actual set, it would be 4 times as large, which means this would be about 24 feet long. For space considerations, we start with something small and simple. We also have to, at this point, decide how we want it to break apart, because it can't fit on one of our stages. So we build into it some specific breaks so that a piece like this could come out.